Hey, this is Max, student of PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Friday, October 1st. The year is flying by. I'm doing this a little bit late, so got a full house today. You might hear some background noise with the crazy kids and all that, but I'm gonna try my best. So, interesting day today. What started off as perhaps a range early and a really strong downtrend just completely reversed and busted out of the trading range and checked up one time and never looked back for two measured moves up. If you notice here, I have a leg down early from around the open, got a correction and almost you overshot that measured move there, which is weird because then you would assume that it would be stronger to the downside, but that's not the case. And to the upside here, we had this leg, and after the correction here, just about a measured move. You can see we overshot that one as well. So we had what looked like a range into a pretty strong downtrend that just suddenly stopped and reversed and turned into all uphill. So let's get into the trades and wrap today and the week up. So I'm on Pacific Standard Time, and let's get rid of this mouse here. Where is it? There we go. So I'm on Pacific Standard Time, so you can start trading around 5 a.m. and the first green trade I have here marked is at 5:18 a.m. We had this big strong uptrend and what might be, well, we don't know there's a range yet, so we have a strong confirmed trend line here. We do have a close and a new high, but we get two legs back in the second entry. That doesn't quite get to the EMA, but it's a second entry in a really strong uptrend. More than likely, you're gonna get a second push up. So that's a nice trade. It's aggressive though, because although it is a second entry, it doesn't quite get back to the EMA, and it's not exactly at a key entry point. We work our way up into some resistance, get up there again and fail. I didn't really like anything here. Notice we got a little channel, first entry pullback, second entry there, but far away from the EMA, a bit congested and not a strong signal bar. And then we fell out of the top of what we think might be the range, get a first entry short, push through, and then get a failed second entry long that turns down right at the EMA. And technically that's not a failure because it does get 4 ticks, but we're looking for another push down of this downtrend and how it rejects off the EMA. I like that trade. It is a little aggressive, and that's why I have it marked green. Then we go into this little spike in channel here. You can see that. And unfortunately, the second entry here, or the failed second entry here, is too far away from the EMA. You don't really get a nice setup. But finally here, if you notice, got some resistance there. You make that high, you test it once, you test it twice, bust out, and then reverse. That's a good signal bar. And that is a second entry. It's a little convoluted. If you notice, you get one, two legs back. Signal bar is not the greatest, but because it's a triple test, I like that trade. Then we go into congestion here, and I don't really see anything that fits the rules. We do get, if you notice, this is a double bottom. You get a first entry, pull back, second entry here, but there's no way to know. Yeah, there's no way to know if that's the key entry point. You could have dragged it down right here. So that's pretty aggressive. You really need to wait on a lower high. And interesting, I was looking for the trend line to be up around there just because we have this short-term trend line closing out, close and new high there. But it's just a little too early in my opinion. And then we get back into the range, pull back and confirm the trend line here. Notice this new low. It's lower than this one right here. Then you get a first entry, pull back, ticks one up higher and closes on its low. I like going short there on the engulfing bar. You could also let it break lower and then put a limit order right there when it's closer to finishing, right? I don't like to take engulfing bars too early because you can get burned, but if you're around less than 200 ticks and it breaks lower, you can put a limit order there and see if you can catch the wave. You do get a lower high here. That's a great setup. This one here, you have to be very careful. You have to take a market order because this is what will happen. If you try to wait until it backs up, you can get stopped out. So you get two legs up, two legs down, and then one, two legs up again. Notice a new low. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short, closes right by the EMA. It is a little congestive, but you have to trust the fact that this trend line is stronger than the congestion, and that is the trade of the day. Well, one of them, in my opinion. Look at that thing. You make 20 points, 25 points or so in a blink, cut just a couple minutes. That's a nice setup. Then we get into this spiking channel here, but unfortunately, again, it's kind of a repeat pattern of this spiking channel. Very similar, but you don't really get a setup. You get a failed second entry long right here, but you're far away from the EMA and you're not exactly sure if this channel is confirmed. You could argue for that to be green if you see the channel and you trust it with the 1, 2, 3 touches, but that's pretty aggressive. I'm not the most aggressive trader in the world. And then it gets congested here. Don't get a second entry. You get a breakout pullback of some sorts here, but still not back to the EMA. But this is holding, so you could argue for that to be green as well. Got congestion, failed breakout, pullback because we have a really strong downtrend and we're looking for this measured move here. You could argue for that as well. Then we just get into some congestion here, and you can tell that usually by early dojis right there. Look at that. You got one doji, and we don't have a retest of this spiking channel, and then we don't have a retest yet of this channel. So more than likely it's going to go into a little range, and you see congestion there, congestion there. It's pretty obvious. Those are your lows, those are your highs. So you do get a failed second entry long right here, but it's right on the EMA. It's not really showing rejection. You scalp out by the skin of your teeth, so you might go short there, but usually you want to look for lower highs right at the resistance or higher lows right at the support. You do get a new low here, first entry pullback, second entry at resistance. You see a little bit of it there too. That's a good trade. But you do always want to wait for a lower high, or more the majority of the time. But if you know what you're doing there and you see the congestion, the second entry, the resistance, that's a good trade. Get a lower high here, but bad signal bar. You get a touchdown here, but the bias is down, so we don't really want to consider that. We do touch the resistance again here, and that's a triple test. Notice that high, test it once, test it twice. So you could mark that green. But it's always best to wait on a lower high. We do get a lower high here, but it's a pretty bad signal bar. Well, it's a decent signal bar. I guess you could say that closes in the lower 1/3 by just a tad. And so it's a little aggressive. It's closer to the midline, but that works. So that's a good trade. And this is what's interesting. I was waiting for a trade up here to go short again. And it just busts out of that trend line and never looks back. Slight interruption there. Yeah, so we just completely break out of this red trend line, and it's kind of hard to figure out what was going on. And so that's why I don't really have any trades marked here, because it's just so hard to understand what's going on. You do have a lower high here, but it's a horrible signal bar, and there's obviously support there. So you just got to sit tight until things clear up. And we get this nice channel up. Unfortunately, there's no way to enter it. And then we get some congestion there. Notice that high. Pull back first entry. A failed breakout counter bias. And a second entry long. It's marked green because it's not exactly to the EMA. And you have to go long right into strong resistance. But you are looking to make a new high of this short-term trend line. So if you want to feel aggressive, that's the place you want to do it. Then you get a breakout pullback and looking for a second leg up, another aggressive bar, strong bullish signal bar. But again, it's not at a key entry point. Typically, if trades aren't at a key entry point, they're gonna be marked green for me. We do get the closeout side of this short-term trend line and a new high. And we get a couple legs back, so you would draw your trend line there and see if it gets confirmed. And sure enough, you get a touch there. Notice this new low. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short right there at the trend line. People picking tops. Excellent place to go long. Great trap, and that's another strong trade there. We're crawling up this trend line here. It's pretty steep, and so I don't really see a good setup right there. But yeah, but it doesn't take too long for a setup. You notice this new high, pull back first entry, and then pull back second entry. That's a second entry, strong signal bar. You have some room to the EMA, so in case you get rejection, and we're looking to retest this high here. When it turns down and confirms this downtrend, it becomes a failed second entry short, and so I like going short there. Then we get a closeout side and a new low of this correction, and we're still looking to make a new high on this original blue channel that I have here. And we kind of just go into congestion. Prices are fighting between trying to get to that new high and get the new low in this correction, and this congestion typically leads to trading ranges. So you mark your support there and your resistance at the highs and the lower highs and see what sets up. And after this correction trend plays out, notice this new low here, double bottom. Actually, sorry, new low here. And you get a first entry and then pull back and a second entry short. It rejects at the EMA, doesn't break higher. And then you get this inside bar. So you might go long there. Not the best setup in the world, and there is some resistance there and no proof that we're going higher. But it's a failed second entry short against the trend. More than likely to get a scalp there. We make this high, and then we make a lower high far away from the EMA. Where was I? Just got all kinds of interruptions today. Yep, so we had a failed entry short there, and then we make this high, a lower high with a strong bearish bar far away from the EMA, and things are going a little sideways, so I like that trade. I don't know why I have this marked. I think it's a second entry long. New high, first entry, pullback, second entry, but that's not really proven support yet. I don't like that. I don't know why I had that there. So we're correcting for a while. We're in this range, and then finally we get a new low here. First entry short, pull back, second entry short here, but we've already had two legs up, so we want to look for two legs of correction. And at this point, I would measure this whole first leg up and then look for a measured move here. And you notice we'll get there, but we got pretty darn close. We overshot it by a little bit. And so your target is just purely up. Not really any reason to look for shorts here. A little bit of a spike in channel here in my opinion. So you have the green channel. It's not confirmed yet. At this point, that'll be confirmed over here. But out of this range, we get a spike in channel. Notice 1, 2 legs up, and then 2 legs back. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. And a new high here, pull back first entry, then pull back second entry. But signal bar is not that great. The only thing you got going here is you have a low. You tested it once, you tested it a second time. So it's marked green. And then you can see this is a new low, slightly lower than that one. You get a first entry short, and then you get a failed second entry short here. It's just not at the key entry point, far away from the EMA. So it's aggressive, but the context is we're in a strong uptrend. We have a strong high measured move target. So you might want to risk that. We get to the highs, then we get a first entry, pull back, second entry here. Only thing I didn't really like or what I'm crazy about is we close right at the EMA and then we close under it. That's not rejection. You want to see rejection because a lot of times you can get burned on these things. So it's a little bit aggressive, but it's a second entry and you're looking to retest this. I don't even know what channel. I think I have this gray. We're looking to retest the high of this gray channel and we might be in a bigger channel. I think it's better to wait on a higher low, but sometimes you don't get that. So you can debate if you want to be that aggressive or not. And it works, or sorry, it shoots up, makes a higher low, touches that EMA and closes on its high. That's where you definitely want to go long, a higher low with a strong signal bar right off of a minor key entry point there. And that's a great trade. Then we get 2 legs back for a second entry right at what you would guess would be a key entry point, and we're still looking to continue on with the trend and go after that target. Maybe we're going to get a second leg up, so I like that one as well. We make a new high, and then we get 2 legs back again, and look at that support. You made that low, you tested it once, you tested it a second time and rejected and almost closed on your high. Go long right there, that's a good trade. Now we have this gray channel and a new high, but we formed this yellow channel. And so keep rolling with the longs. Get a new high here, close outside, first entry, pull back again, and look at it, kisses that EMA, reverses and closes on its high. Go long again. Great trade. And draw your trend line. And then we turn into the, what do I got here? Red trend line. So now we got this red trend line. 2 legs up, pull back and confirm the trend line there. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. This has been a strong trend, but we're a little far away from the EMA. This is, oh, it's a failed second entry short. So new low and a double bottom. First entry short, second entry short. People just picking tops, you know. They do it all day, every day, and just works against them. But failed second entry short, strong signal bar at a trend line. You might go long there. It's not a perfect setup. It's aggressive, but that typically pays off if you know the context of a really strong day. All right, so now we satisfied this this gray channel and this yellow channel. And we still do have this red channel, but we're really getting overbought. So just wait and see if you get a setup. And then notice we got a first entry, pull back, second entry. And I would be waiting for a retest of this and a new low before consider going long. And if you notice there, we just shot through the channel, but I'd be careful going long there. You do get strong rejection, but we've already satisfied a couple channels. Yeah, you could have got tricked on this as well. But you got to close outside of the short-term trend line. We're really looking for a push. Does that make a new low? No. So that would keep you out of the second entry long. Even though there's strong rejection there, you do want to see maybe two legs down, two attempts to a new low of this minor red channel, or sorry, correction channel. But when people take that second entry long and it ticks up, reverses and closes below the EMA on its low, you got people trapped right there. Take that short. We're working down, get a close outside and two legs back, and you do get a second entry here. Signal bar is not that great, but that might be a trade you take. In my opinion, you should probably wait for the correction to play out and get on with the longs, but you might take that. You got a double top here, first entry long, you're pulling back, second entry long, and it fails and closes on its low. It's a good place to go short as well. And you're looking for a possible trend line based on this swing and the end of the correction. You just don't know where. So a lot of people are going to get trapped up on the wrong trend line here. Then we bounce at what you would think would be the trend line. And if you notice, you got a new high here, and you get a first entry long pullback, second entry long at a strong place where you would think would be the trend line. Go long right there. That's a nice trade. And notice this new low, first entry short, pulling back, second entry short right there on the trend line at the key entry point for people who don't see it. It triggers, reverses, and closes on its high. That's a great place to go long. And then last trade of the day, you shoot through the EMA, you make a first entry long and a second entry long under the EMA with a lot of wick, a lot of rejection and resistance at the EMA. And so if people take that, it reverses and closes on its low. You might want to go short there as well. And that's pretty much what I saw today. So, oh, this range really, once we blew the range and held, I would have just erased it. So this is what it looked like. This is how I saw it. You basically had two legs down and a reversal to the upside. And you had this trend line, a correction, a second leg up, and then it was just all uphill. Nice trading day. Nothing too complicated. Yesterday was a hard day. Very complicated day. It was tough for me to read. I sat out quite a bit. So today was much easier. Hope I'll keep it short and sweet. Hope you enjoy the lesson, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or send me an email. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Have a good day.